All right. But it's not much to do now. I guess I'm just waiting for the audio to come through. Let's see here. I might have everything that I need. Close that. Close this. Here we go. We're gonna make sure my audio comes through. Fantastic! What awesome! So awesome. All right. Hi. All right, fantastic. Here we are. It's the Iowa Watch Party. It is just me right now, and it's probably going to be just me the entire time unless I decide to post this. I'm going to have some fun with this. 2020, I decided to do a live stream just for myself. I had a few people join in. That was pretty neat, about 9. But I'm going to do this anyway. I feel like I'm going to do the same thing. I'm really enjoying watching this develop, and I'm kind of interested to see what comes through for tonight. It's going to be the Iowa Watch Party. It is going to be seeing the, let's be honest, probably obvious result. There's a lot of media narratives that are going through, and so I want to go through some of the things that would be particularly interesting. Things that will be interesting for tonight. We'll go over the poll schedule. We're going to see what could actually happen. Been trying to go through a lot of information to see who. Been trying to go through a lot of information of what may or may not happen as far as will Trump get 50% tonight? That's kind of the big narrative that's gone. I've seen on a bunch of things. 50%, does it matter? Does it not matter? We'll be going over whether or not it does matter. A little bit of a spoiler: it doesn't. It doesn't truly matter who. If he breaks 50% in Iowa tonight, he'll still probably win by a large margin unless something surprising happens. What that matters more for the Republican Party is that there are many states that have a proportional representation, and there's many states that have a clause where you get 50% or more, you automatically get the entire state. I'm going to go through more of that tonight, and then we're going to see the results come in. Right now, it's 8:30, 7:30 in Iowa. It's too close to call, but stuff is already coming in. Caucuses that are really small are immediately going to report. Caucuses that are literally just a few people in a room are going to be reporting their information already. They started at 8. At 8:30, they're already getting results. It's really small counties that are coming out here. And they're going to finish and hopefully see the results tonight. In 2020, we didn't have any results that night. It was a complete cluster, an absolute mess. I don't expect that to be the case tonight. I expect more to get a pretty obvious result fairly soon. But this can be used, even though I know probably nobody's going to come in tonight for this. This could be used as an actual way to, if you see this before New Hampshire, an actual way to get some information of what to expect next. Like, this could actually be interesting of what we've been looking at in Iowa, things that would be potentially coming up. But we're not just going to look at a screen here. Bam, here's our weather. Big narrative gets the easy stuff first, is the weather in Iowa. You already see it right now. It's who's going to be braving these absolute terrible temperatures right now. Snow, freezing cold. Some of the worst in the country, to be honest, is specifically right here in Iowa. And here in some of the most important moments, they're going to have some weather that's pretty much worse than most parts of Canada right at this very moment. Here in Baltimore, it is just starting to snow. So we're having a little bit of fun there. Wind is absolutely crazy. There's been some thoughts about if this would actually affect the motivations of people who come out. We're going to talk about NBC poll here that happened. Actually, let's do that right now. Because I'm starting to get results, so we can talk about the first results that come in. But motivation. Who's the most motivated? Who's going to brave this absolute chaos of -6%? Can you guys see my cruiser? You can't see my cruiser. Well, let's not worry about that. Who's going to be braving this absolute mess of -10, -6, -10 degrees? A lot of people think that Trump's base, who is older, is actually going to be less motivated to stay out there in an extremely difficult weather space. But actually, this might be kind of a double-edged sword. First, Exhibit A. We're going to pull up 538. A lot of people made a big deal about this NBC poll. Right here. This came out. This was literally pulled from last week. Like, this is a very recent poll. They saw Trump, 28%. Trump is underwater at a 48%. Nikki Haley, 20%. This is a big deal. I don't know. In this poll, there was a lot of information that was fairly interesting. We were able to see a motivation chart, and I might pull that up to see like how motivated are you for your candidate? How excited are you? Well, I do have it. Fantastic. We're gonna pull this up. For Nikki Haley, it's not great, and the margin is by a lot. And this is important when we talk about the weather, because a lot of people are talking about like how the weather could actually very seriously determine this election, because this could be a little more interesting. I'm going to try to open this here. Trump supporters are extremely motivated by a wide margin. Let's pull this up. So you see the poll results I just showed you. This is the same NBC poll that came out. Here in the top category is how enthusiastic are you for your candidate? Second category, you'll notice here amongst Trump supporters, extremely enthusiastic, 49%. Very enthusiastic, 39%. This is very good numbers for Trump, like extremely crazy good. When you're at 50%, you don't want to just be like the automatic candidate. This is a big group of like I think it's 80+% who are saying they want to go out. They're big, they're for it, they're all about it. Okay, Nikki Haley, all the way at the bottom. Supposedly the main challenger, supposedly the person who could come forward and rally the troops and defeat Donald Trump. This is where a lot of people have been looking at. 9% extremely enthusiastic. The worst one on the list, very enthusiastic, 30, mildly enthusiastic. The worst, 49%. Not at all, 12. That's not good. That's not good for somebody who's supposed to be on the rise. Somebody who's supposed to be overtaking Trump, like to be like the rising star, to like really go forward. That's terrible enthusiasm. That's people just looking for somebody to go against Trump. That's not exciting. So when we go back to the weather and we say, oh, who could outdo Trump? Who could do it? How motivated are these people to do this? To come out to this? Sure, it might be an older crowd for Trump, might be a more rural crowd, might be more difficult for Trump. But if you're not really caring and you're just trying to throw out a name in a poll that isn't Trump, that might not be good. Especially Nikki Haley has more support amongst independents, more support amongst younger voters, more support amongst other people that go out here that might be different. In Iowa, if you're registered Democrat, you have to caucus with the Democrats. But if you're registered independent, you could show up same day. Hold on a moment. I'm going to pull some things together. Sorry, I'm not as prepared as I want to be. That's okay. I have nobody watching, so it's fine with me. All right. What do we got here? Not as prepared as I wanted to be. I had everything up, and then things start crashing, and then I have to pull everything back together. Hey, hold on. Let's just make sure my audio is coming through. Fantastic. All right. Okay. So, where are we at? 842. We've looked at initial polls. We looked at the numbers. Expectations. We can look at how many people are going to get what. Okay, reasonable expectations. What can we see here tonight? Big narrative is, can Trump pull 50%? We've talked about enthusiasm. We talked about Nikki Haley on the rise. I think 50% is an arbitrary number in Iowa. I don't think it really matters long term. I want to be nonpartisan, not really like say any particular strong opinions, but I do want to say, like, honestly, whether he gets, people may make a big deal if he gets 48%. I don't think that's particularly impactful in the long term. It might be for Super Tuesday, but I think New Hampshire and South Carolina, which are coming up, and we'll go through the schedule, are much more impactful as going forward. I'm not too impressed about, some result that says Donald Trump 45%, Nikki Haley 25%, DeSantis 17. Like that still means a runaway number for Trump. Basically, if we're somewhere around 50% or 55%, it means the polls are correct. That's the more important part. Are the polls reliable? 50-ish below or above is kind of irrelevant to the fact of, can these be trusted? Can we look at the polls going forward and be like, ooh, this is giving us good information? Or is it complete trash? And this year we've had probably some of the least amount of polling that we've ever gotten statewide for the GOP. We've got a lot of national polls, very few state polls, because they're not always super reliable in the past, and I don't think people want to invest in them. Now, we have gotten a few, if you'll notice here, in January, like really recent for Iowa. That's good. But you notice in December, it's really blocky. For a whole month, we only have like 9 polls. It's pretty rough. Less than that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think if we load up, I think there's only 2 more. 6, 7, 8. So it's not a lot. What are we getting so far? Well, when we look at it, I'm trying to find one with a map. I think Fox News has the map. So far, Donald Trump is sitting up in front with most of everything. That is going to be most of everything that's going to matter. He's got 504 votes. That's not all the people in Iowa. Not very impressive right off the bat. We barely have anything. Oh, here we go. Here's our map. There are also a couple polling reporting companies as well, even though there are a bunch of news agencies. There's about 3 different ones. You have like Fox News and AP, which use a similar reporting. MSNBC, CNN, they're basically using the same reporting. And then you have the New York Times. So, I mean, you could also go to like other places like Reuters and stuff like that. But if you're using one of these blocks, you're going to get the same information. One block for Nikki Haley. That is interesting. This is an important one. This is suburbs. So we're going to look for the center of Iowa. That's going to be important to see if Donald Trump holds this or not. All this is going to be red. Red. If you're wondering what the past is, 2016, Ted Cruz won by a very narrow margin, just below 30%. Trump was about 1% behind. And in the 2020 general election, because Trump was the incumbent, obviously won by a significant margin, but these were areas that went for Biden. I don't even think Davenport, but you had Cedar Rapids, the suburbs, Des Moines, this area over here. Numbers evening out a little bit. I don't know. We're at the like less than 1,000 votes. Not too particularly interesting. I do expect us to start getting results around 9:30. I don't know how late I'll go. Because at some point I'm just started rambling about different things, which I will be doing anyway. But as we're kind of going through it, we're kind of looking at what might be interesting, what might not be interesting. Let's see here. And maybe I'll start sharing the stream and actually try to get people to get in here if we have actual information to go through. We have a couple things to read, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's look at the calendar and talk about how Super Tuesday affects everything, right? It's a little bit different makeup for the primary series. If you don't already know, you've got, of course, Iowa up front for the Republicans. The Democrats have actually banished Iowa to somewhere else. They've decided to unseat the tradition of Iowa going first. Honestly, I think it's truthful to do that, or it's a good idea to do that. Iowa has not been very predictive of anything, to be honest, in years. New Hampshire, however, coming up important. That'll be important. We could talk about New Hampshire if we have to. Nikki Haley has a lot closer in New Hampshire. Chris Christie actually qualified for New Hampshire debates because he had the state polling necessary to qualify for the debates coming up. Naturally, he dropped out. But that is in 1 week. Was this the 15th? So that'll be literally in 1 week on Tuesday. Yeah, so that'll be on Tuesday for New Hampshire. South Carolina, not initially for the Republicans. That's actually going to be later. So we kind of sit a batch of nothing. I know they have the caucuses for Nevada. I don't know how useful Nevada will be. Nevada will be. That will probably just land Trump. Easy. South Carolina, where Nikki Haley comes from, or at least was represented, might be interesting. I can't imagine if South Carolina does not land significantly or basically all for Nikki Haley. I really have no idea what she does. That's over a month away. She has plenty of time. If she has a good result in New Hampshire, she could sit on South Carolina. She could basically try to fight tooth and nail for that state. That's basically what made Biden and put Biden's campaign. It rallied all the support. I can't imagine Vivek Ramaswamy stays. I don't know what his point would be to last that long. Maybe he goes to New Hampshire just for fun, just to do it. He's becoming massively in debt though, so I don't know why he would stay in this race past tonight, to be honest. We could talk about Ron DeSantis in a second, but I'm not too excited on whatever Ron DeSantis is trying to do. His results might be pretty poor tonight. South Carolina, it will be there. That will pretty much decide. I think in South Carolina and in Michigan, I think will be extremely important, because if in South Carolina Nikki Haley is a good showing, and then it can translate to Michigan, what that means is we have a complete shift in narrative, both for voters and the media. You have two states where Nikki Haley has an advantage: New Hampshire, South Carolina, and then Michigan she does not. That should be a big shot for Trump to just basically walk into it. Idaho and Missouri, I don't expect to be very impactful. I expect them to, I think we'll go through what they do, but those could basically just land Trump. And then Super Tuesday. This is the giant block here. Now, Super Tuesday is significant because it carries probably more votes. We're going to know the result. This should not be one of the primaries that end up running all the way to June. We've had these before. We've had these recently, like in 2016, where even though Hillary Clinton was the by far away projected winner, it still wasn't decided. Super Tuesday has basically half of the votes. We'll go through the map here in a second. We'll do a numbers check. But literally half of all of the primary votes will be allocated through this time. This includes California. California and Texas. That's and then a boatload of everything else. California, brand new, not in June anymore. Right there in Super Tuesday. Also with California, brand new rules. It's not broken down into a bunch of different like mini districts anymore. Get 50% in California, 50%, you win it. You get everything. No proportional allocation. Straight up, you get the whole state. Texas breaks down everything to a bunch of little like mini districts, but it's almost not fair the way Texas does it, because even though you get individual districts and you can split, if you get above 20 but not above 50, you're only splitting like 1 to 3 delegates per voting district. So basically in practice that means either one person gets all 3 or one person gets 1 and one person gets 2 in practice. So that's not really proportional. It's kind of like somebody gets 40% that's game over. You basically win the state. So I don't know how that translates around the country. California Republicans tend to be very Trumpy. Even though California is very blue, The red in California is very red. I don't really know if any of this can be overcome by Nikki Haley, who pulls more with independents. This is not a big MAGA base there. I have no idea how she captures Texas, to be honest with you. There's a bunch of Mideast states in here, but a lot of the Mideast shows up later as we go through it. Ohio comes later, March 19th. New Jersey, District of Columbia. Maryland is May 14th. Pennsylvania, I don't know where she gets her base from. Oregon comes late. I can't expect that even if she could technically have a chance, that anybody would have an enthusiasm for somebody who doesn't have at least a third of the primary votes. Of the primary delegates by the end of Super Tuesday. I don't know how, even if technically we go through this list and we see that Trump holds only 40% of the way and Nikki Haley could run the board out. Nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to waste their time paying attention to it. It's going to be the end. Nobody's going to go to these campaign events. Nobody's going to give Nikki Haley any money. That's probably going to be the end of it for her. If she doesn't pull in South Carolina and in Michigan, let's see, can you at least see highlights? You can see highlights. So by South Carolina and Michigan, that's going to be a sign of a bad result for Super Tuesday. And if she doesn't have a good result for Super Tuesday, I think that's it. We're done. We're done. Luckily, we could have a chance at a early primary. Conventions in July. We don't have to carry this out all the way to May. We'll be done by the first week of March before St. Patrick's Day, in my opinion. I don't see any reason to be worried about something like staying longer than that. Yeah, let's pull up the results, see if anything's changed, see if we've got more than 1,000 people at this point, because we can go to two things. We could still talk about more about delegate sizes, and then we can talk about Ron DeSantis and why he's just not going to get anything. I'm very pessimistic on Ron DeSantis here. I don't even know if he sticks around, to be honest, but we'll talk about that. Where's our map? Here's our map. Here it is. Donald Trump. We're going to lower the size a little bit so I can see some of these results here. Okay. Nothing from there. Nikki Haley, but it's basically nothing. We're getting just the outside. We're at 1,500 votes. What was our Iowa 2016 GOP Caucus? We're going to look that up really quick to see how many total votes we were able to get out of that. So we were able to pull from 2016. The caucus pulled about 100,000, 150,000, some change, 160, 165, 180,000, 190,000, roughly. So about 200,000 votes to go through. And so that's about 2%, 1%. Okay, so yeah, only 2 people represented in here. The proportional representation basically says that Trump gets basically everything. But we're not too far off from the polling numbers, which is not too surprising. Let's move over to our 538 chart. Let's talk about Ron DeSantis. Let's talk about why I'm basically ignoring him. Ron DeSantis has basically lost his voting base. The problem is, who does he get at this point? Where he was extremely competitive, he was considered an alternative to Donald Trump, was probably a very interesting candidate for a while, and he has struggled to really insult Donald Trump. He hasn't really campaigned against him. He seemed particularly scared to do that. And as we get into October, he seems like just the guy who's splitting Trump's vote. And at this point, every single candidate has gone down, except for one, Nikki Haley, and then even Ron DeSantis has been blubbering at his position. Now has Florida. Florida's not coming up early on the Florida does not come up on the chart of when voting happens until like the end. Is it the end? The end of March, I believe. So it's not like he can leverage that in order to take over any particular March 19th, 2 weeks after Super Tuesday. So he can't even leverage the state of Florida, but he keeps bragging about Florida and he continues to answer things the same way. And he did well in the debates, to be honest. I've watched every single one of the debates, all 5. I believe there was 5, and there's 2 more on the schedule until New Hampshire. He does fine, but he doesn't run against Donald Trump. And by not running against Donald Trump and just running against Nikki Haley, it's confusing to see where he's going. You can't go down for a year. You can't go down for a year. Is this literally a year? Yeah, a year. A year. You can't go down for a year and not try to feature a new base. He's been trying to wring the same base out, trying to get water from the same stone for an entire year at this point. Ron DeSantis has basically offered himself up as Diet Trump. Somebody who isn't as radical, somebody who isn't as out there, somebody who doesn't have the losing track record or the liabilities that he has. And the issue with that is that most voters at this point have decided, why vote for Diet Trump when you can just get Trump? Why go for Donald Trump when you could just get Diet Trump when you could just go for Trump? And there's a real argument for that. It's true. He hasn't cultivated anything. He's just said, I've got a winning track record in Florida. Great argument, but you need a second argument. You need an audience, and he's not pulling it. I have no understanding of where he goes. I have no idea what his plan is. He probably won't drop tonight, but when he doesn't, or unless he does, and if he doesn't, I don't know where he goes. He's hemorrhaging money. I'm not going to pull up the campaign financials because it's a little bit difficult, especially because of being towards the end of January. We're just starting to get information from Q4, the last quarter of last year. And honestly, that's going to be more impactful than any of the current financials that we have. The Democrats are announcing a record Democrat haul of $90-some million. It's stupid money that the Democrats are basically just sitting on that they just have not spent. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has spent over half his money. DeSantis is out of money. Ramaswamy is out of money. Nikki Haley's getting a ton of money. But what's she going to spend it on? Where's her, her goal is next week. Her goal is New Hampshire. I don't see a major result happening tonight, and I don't even know what DeSantis is doing. I mean, I guess he's got to run out of Iowa just to see what happens. I don't expect him to drop because he doesn't have no votes. He has a lot of votes. And if he does drop, that's just going to, a lot of them are going to consider voting for Trump. If we look at the NBC poll that we went through and some other pollings, if you dive into it, a lot of DeSantis voters have Trump as a second vote. Only about a third start considering other voters, or start considering other candidates. That's not, so you're looking at, what is it, 15%? 15%, 11%. So maybe, Donald Trump pulls, I don't know, of half of that, 5% himself, and Nikki Haley gets 3% of the DeSantis votes. That's not good for Haley. I don't know what DeSantis is doing. I don't know what Ramaswamy's doing, although I think I might know that he's in it for book sales. I'll be honest. I would love to be less cynical and be a little more nonpartisan, but he has not qualified for any debate stage at this point. He has come on stage and just said the wildest stuff and just gone nuts and been abrasive, and he campaigns online more than he campaigns in person. He's at, you see his campaign events. He's at Applebee's more than he's at major functions. He is running the traditional fourth place presidential campaign position, in which he's just walking around meeting people at this point. And his votes are almost exclusively Trump votes. He's more Trumpier than Trump. And at that point, we're looking at this as an irrelevant percentage that, if he drops, those votes probably don't even show up. To be honest, maybe 1% to 2% go to Trump and the rest just disappear. Looking at weather's still the same. We're looking at any results to see if anything's come through. Try not to scream race alert, like race updates. Ooh, here's an interesting one. Okie dokie. We do have a little bit of a change here. We got a DeSantis block, which is interesting. It is an interesting block. Did I just have the color change? I did. I just have a color change. Let's see if that's coming up on your screens. No, it should not. Okay. I have night vision, which has just come up on here. So let's see here. If we're looking at rural counties, if DeSantis is relevant in any particular way, he will steal votes from Donald Trump in these top and bottom sections. If he is not relevant, he'll never show up. I don't think this changes in any significant way. This 39% is interesting, but you know, we could still have more reporting. Let's see here. I'm trying to see here. Estimate vote in. Estimate vote in 70%. So we still got a lot more votes. This isn't. It's not that small of a county. All right. Yeah, 10% of that vote. Okay, so yeah, I don't know all these counties up here. I wish I had that information where I could have all these blocks memorized, but no, I don't. I've only got like probably these sections and these sections in here well known. I know we're in hyper rural areas if we're looking at the north and south, but otherwise we're basically just looking at tiny numbers at this point. We're only at 2%, and I don't think there's much to glean out of this information yet. Yeah. Let's see, where else are we moving to? We've got the primary schedule. Yeah, these caucuses themselves can be pretty interesting, especially with the idea that independents can come in. And I don't know. I'm very interested to see like what that actually becomes. What is that actually going to? Would that actually change anything? We make a big deal about Republicans independents having the ability to vote, and then or maybe Democrats in an open primary being able to vote Republican and being able to sabotage the vote. That's not something that happens very often. Everybody makes a big deal of it. They talk about the potential of it. Very rarely in a primary can we ever attribute any sort of change to that particular phenomenon. Let's see here. Oh, look at that. We have one. Look at this. Fox News projects Donald Trump. There you go. There's your projection. I could have told you that. Look at me. Put me in charge over there at Fox News. I guess it's technically too close to call, but there's no reason not to think that we're not going to get something similar to the poll results yet, unless basically those rural counties spin off. Let's see here. We're just kind of go through the breaking news lists of some of these sites, seeing if they're finding anything in particular. Ooh, that's a little neat. These are exit polls. Some of these exit polls, I give them almost no credit. First time caucus goers: Trump, Haley, DeSantis, Ramaswamy. The Ramaswamy's number is interesting. It shows you that people who further right than Trump very much disagree. Haley's, you're saying how many independents or how many moderates? I don't really want to call Haley a moderate. She's very much conservative, but compared to the options on the table, how many more moderates are there? How many more young voters are there? Haley's picking up a lot of them. Obviously, there's a lot of Trump voters. We talk about like Haley having the most, or a lot of people having the most young voters. Young voters are very much turning up very right-wing in a lot of cases. I mean, aggregate by largest percentages, young voters are more extreme, but more of them are left-leaning, but a lot of right-leaning. And I think this is going to be the issue with Nikki Haley, because the one brand that she doesn't want is that she doesn't want to be considered. She very much preaches the idea that they need to be involved in Ukraine, that we need to be involved around the world. That sort of air quotes globalist idea is disliked, even if in the debates, please excuse me, in the debates we have Ron DeSantis saying that, we shouldn't be involved in Ukraine, but he, to his own words, should be involved in Israel, should be involved in Taiwan, and should increase the Navy. Okay, interesting set of positions to say we should be involved in the world, but that is how it shakes out, and it's really about sometimes branding. And Nikki Haley has taken on the brand of that sort of neocon attitude where they should be involved. And when you have 50% who say you shouldn't be, that's bad for your growth. Like, that's bad. And that this is kind of like not necessarily true to their actual policy positions, and I don't want to sound overly cynical, but like that's basically not necessarily true to the policy position. But the issue is that we basically have to understand branding in this case. And if people say we shouldn't be, even if that reduction, if a Republican candidate says we shouldn't be active in the world, whether or not what their actual policy says, their that kind of branding is going to resonate with the voters, and a lot of that is important because honestly, international issues don't tend to drive many votes. The economy does, various social issues do. That drives a lot more than international issues. People will give you their opinion, but it rarely is their main motivator. And so then it comes to branding, and branding is important. You know. Oh, there you go. Here we go. CNN, not even CNN sold 2% and they're good. 3% and they're good. So yeah. Just so you can see the headline. Bam, Trump wins Iowa. That's it. He gets it. Yeah, we can do this. We're just gonna be curious about where it goes as far as the percentages. We're looking at 50% to see where the narrative comes from. And I'm hoping that, you know, if anybody does see this in the VOD, the recording, that the main thing that you kind of take away is that what is driving the media narratives. You'll probably wake up tomorrow, see Trump wins Iowa, and then you'll either see like, oh, he's going to have a run away with it, or he's in trouble, even though he's freaking 20 plus points ahead. This is why it's important, because you can actually see what sections are coming in, where the trends are, and we're basically trying to find out whether the polls are right tonight. That's more important. Trump's going to win Iowa. That's what we're going to see. But are the polls reliable? Can we use these going forward? Or am I going to have to just remove 538.com from my entire bookmarks list? That's basically what it comes down to. Yeah, let's see what we got next here. So they're calling Trump for in. We have now 4% of votes. We are looking for maybe about 200,000 votes. We are looking at right now about 5,000 votes in. So that sounds about right. Nothing particularly interesting on the map. Trying to look around. I was trying to look for like an interesting Twitter list or anything like that. I don't want to just start ribbing off other sites here, but trying to actually add something here as we start talking about it. So bear with me, everybody. I'm going to pull something up here. I feel the dead air. That's why I got my funky, should be uncopyrightable 1921 jazz recorded music. Just kind of taking this information. Yeah, exit polls coming in. This is good. Here we go. We'll pull this up. Exit poll information. Try to pull exit poll information like it's actually useful, but it is interesting to talk about. Key groups from Trump: no college degree, very conservative, 65 and older. The 55%, that's pretty telling, because we know that's who's showing up. Because we were concerned or interested in seeing if the weather would affect this particular group. They're coming out. They've been in Iowa long enough. They know how to put a coat on. That's a little bit of my cynicism. We understand that it is very cold in Iowa, but these people have coats. They can do it. They can do it for one night for something that's important. Yep. See, this is interesting. That's always a point. A lot of people. There's also a lot of cynicism. A lot of cynicism about the percentage of Trump voters that do not have faith in our election systems. So if Donald Trump is leading nationally by 55 to 65%, and a significant percentage of those people think the elections are rigged, how many of them are going to actually come out for the elections? That's why we want to know if the polls are important. If you have a significant demographic who thinks this is all BS, how many of them are going to come out? None, right? Almost none. Most of them, some of them, or are they just doing lip service? Are they just complaining? It's hard to really tell just by these basic sort of questions, but it will. I mean, it's going to eventually come out in the votes. It's going to eventually come out into this section. So we're going to kind of see if that's able to do anything else. Let's see. Entrance polls of 53% of those who think Biden legitimately won an election. And here's the thing. Trump is winning just 10%. we have to know whether or not, like, what is the level of Biden legitimately won. Are some people, I'll be honest, you talk to these people, you press them, they don't particularly have an opinion on how it was stolen. They kind of just, you give them the answer and they'll tell you, no, Biden didn't win. And I don't think that they've looked into it. Excuse me, not all of them. I don't think a majority of them seriously look into it. I think this is part of their rhetoric. And this is an exit poll, an entrance poll, because it's a caucus. So it's an entrance poll. And they're there in big numbers. People who think the vote was rigged are still coming out in so far legitimate numbers. So obviously this isn't like something that's going to be destroying the entire system at this point. You know, it's not like absolutely sabotaging his base. As much as a lot of people would like to say it's like funny to actually undermine his results. It's not. It's currently not undermining him at all. I mean, we'll see as the final numbers comes in. What is he going to say? 100. There will be about 130,000 caucus goers, which is a lower turnout than expected. Yeah, I mean, they could say that with that amount. I mean, so far, 3% matches, or 1% in matches, or 3% matches, a 200,000 person projection. But they made the best based off entrance poll interviews and initial vote returns. I mean, we'll see. I think 130,000 is much lower than expected. I think it might be more than expected. I think yeah, what's their numbers? 185,000, 100. Well, you can't use. You're skipping all the way to 2012 on their list. I don't think 130,000 is very low. Like we said at the beginning of the stream, that is a very low number. Excuse me. That is something that would be, let's see, 130,000 was lower than expected. Yeah, that would probably be a double-edged sword. That's what we're going for. A double-edged sword of what actually matters. Like, what is the actual result going to be? Is it actually just going to like hurt the elderly Trump voters? Probably not. It's probably going to be like the low enthusiasm voters aren't going to come out. You know, if they don't care much, they're not going to put on the coat. Donald Trump says he is invigorated and greatly honored to have won Iowa. Yeah, he was making a lot of comments earlier on his Truth Social that was very aggressive towards all three of the people, not just Haley or DeSantis, but even Ramaswamy. He gave him seemingly extra attention. I wonder if he's like worried that he could actually cause some issue. I doubt it. I don't know if Trump's campaign is more worried than Trump, or if Trump just felt like it was necessary to start attacking them today. And yesterday, I don't know. That was very kind of out of the blue. He's kind of just been running like they don't exist. But you know, he's very confident today. I think this will calm him down a little bit. I'm greatly honored. It's such an early call. Yeah, of course. It's gonna be back to an interesting campaign. I think we're going back to and they're still using his 2016 pictures for the news logos. He's just refusing to do his official photo shoots again. It's just use his old pictures. Let's see here. Where are we going to? Everything is still coming through. Let's check the map. Let's see. Check the New York Times map, I think. See if there's anything different. Yeah, here we go. We'll go back to CNN real quick. 4%. Okay. We're getting this information. You'll see here. This is a little more red than expected. Oh, no, that's fine. A little more. Nikki Haley not doing as I would expect here. Okay. These are suburbs. Nikki Haley pulling in the wow, 153 votes. So, I mean, it's not much yet. Interesting notes about the caucuses. We have, they noted a record amount of caucuses being shared in the same location. So even though you were representing a different voting district, you were probably still in a a location that housed multiple caucuses. So I don't I don't know the changes from that. They're saying that's a lot more of these locations are being consolidated. I don't know if that's creating a travel risk or making it more difficult for people to get around. A lot of changes to Iowa. Honestly, I think the system needs a little bit of a revamp. I don't think we need to ditch a caucus. I think that's too much for me to say for what Iowa should do. But honestly, this is like the issue with 2020 was that they were basically so excuse me, reaching forward, so disorganized and so ridiculous that we basically didn't even have a result the first night because numbers were all over the place and it's just a mess. It's a disorganized mess. You could do it any way you want, but if it's disorganized, it's not going to be any good. If people want to be able to take media narratives out of this, we need to be able to get firm results, and that's kind of been a problem so far. Or that's been a problem with Iowa, and probably why Iowa doesn't have the ability to project anything in any significant numbers. With any significant level of reliability. That's what I mean to say. That we can't rely on Iowa to give us a future candidate. We honestly should be relying on New Hampshire more. And if this is going to be the result, I don't know. Maybe they'll be right this time. Maybe the polls are right. Maybe everything's going to stay steady. Be something new, I guess, for them. Let's see. Trump wins. I am looking around. I am trying to get more information out as we kind of click around here, and I'm starting to gain windows as I continue to click through stuff. We can talk about delegate sizes. We can do that while we're waiting. Probably about 9:30, 9:45. I mean, we already know a result. 9:30, 9:45. Sorry, Eastern Standard Time. So in about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, we should really be getting numbers in. A lot of these guys will really start reporting after about an hour. At 8 o'clock, they started the caucus systems. So that means they started discussing, started getting nominations, and then they kind of, depending where you are, they just literally shuffle people into a side of a room. Sometimes they have a ballot, paper ballot. They usually don't if it's a small location. They all organize themselves differently, which is why I was saying that things were kind of a clusterfuck. Excuse me, a cluster the last couple years. So as we see this system kind of devolve, it can take an hour or 2 hours in some of the largest locations. I'm trying to see. We'll pull up AP, see if they have anything. Live streams. I'm not worried about putting on a live stream. Honestly, if you want to flip through 14 different live streams of news organizations, go for it. I'm just here by myself, I guess. Let's see. I don't have a live feed with them. AP straight up says it. So we have basically all the different reporting agencies. There's no discrepancy. Nobody's waiting. Nobody's looking for anything crazy. Now a bunch of people have put almost this exact. I'm pointing at the screen. The race, this particular one, a lot of people are saying this exact headline. Live updates. Trump is the winner and running for. Where is it? Because we want to look about is our polls accurate, and what are the future media narratives? Race for second place. A lot of people are doing this, the race for second place. I've seen that maybe 5 or 6 different times. The race for second place. Stay tuned. Of course, you don't get anything for second place. I mean, there is proportional distribution, but overall in the election, you don't get anything for second place. Yeah, and it's honestly not very impactful on what happens next because New Hampshire doesn't have the same kind of voting base that Iowa does. This is what the president said, how the AP called it, yada yada. Okay. To go through we do not need to go through their entire live feed here for a second. How the AP called. So we've done that one. AP's not gonna. Oh, let's do New York Times. New York Times has a wonderful map. I do not have a subscription to them at current, so we have to make sure that we have the ability to see it. We're gonna pull up New York Times. I really like their logos. I like the the way that they do it. I used to have one. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Very similar setup. Nothing changing. We're only at 4,000 votes. What is that? Votes remaining. So this is their estimate list. Don't get fooled though by these estimate lists. We talk about, will there be 130,000 votes, whatever it is. New York Times, the one thing, I love their graphics. One thing that got New York Times into a ton of trouble are these predictors. They got rid of their dials after 2016. Their predictors have been not great. So when they put this up and they give you firm numbers, it can like really throw you off. It says like, oh, there's 5,000 Nikki Haley votes here. This is not useful. This can really like throw people off, and I think is a disservice. While I think it's interesting and it's, we can make forecasts, I think literally giving people this and making them feel informed as though this is going to be accurate, I feel like is a major disservice to you, to them. Like, this is not, this is not particularly, this is always rarely accurate, to be honest. I do not like these at all. Let's see here. Live forecast. So this is the vote range. So like, when it's telling you the potential outcome, like obviously we can make a forecast about who's going to win because we're not dumb. We can see here. But if you're going to tell somebody it's going to win from anywhere from 40 to 65%, don't even put it up. It's not useful. 12 to 32%. Those are such wildly different numbers that it's not useful. We shouldn't be giving this information out. Although the dials are back. Oh my God, the dials are back. Forecasting the race for second place. Here we go. We talk about media narratives. The dials are back. So the dials. If anybody recalls the dials, in 2016 they started putting dials for states. Now, when you had very close swing states in 2016, these dials would swing rapidly, especially they were forecasting things for Clinton, and then they would suddenly swing back, and people were just basically using these dials to legitimately predict the winner. And when you get down to the final votes, these dials go nuts. When you're only at like 4,000 vote differences, 12,000, 20,000 vote differences, you can be ahead by a little bit, and then there's something missing, and then the dial can switch back and forth. And really, they legitimately like made people think, because all they do, they see these numbers. Oh, 60% chance. Oh, that's good odds. There's no real concept of like what this means, how close it'll be. It's just bad information. I really love the graphics department, but they give out too much information that is just not helpful to you, not useful to you. Which is very frustrating, because we go to the CNN map, right? So if we were going to the CNN map, I didn't see a Fox map, but Fox has a decent map, but they're basically just using AP information, so there's no real point. If we go to, this is New York Times. Where are you? Where are you, CNN map? Just to prove a point. Yeah, here we go. I'm hit with this big interface. It's big, it's bulky, it takes up the whole screen. I mean, I guess it's great for a stream. Yeah, it looks nice in the stream. But like, for me as a user, this is just kind of like, I'm going through all this stuff, and it kind of just, it's very simple. It works. I like it. You notice I've been using it more than anybody else, but it's simple. This is like nice. It's sleek. It's telling me who wins what. When they have a bunch of states going at the same time, there's a bar at the top. I can quickly click, move through left and right. Fantastic. I have this analysis. This is good. AP calls the race. Yeah, this is fantastic. But then you crawl down here, and people go to the New York Times for all this information, and it basically feeds them junk food, stuff that's not helpful to them. That's my rant about that. I think this is extremely not useful. Yeah, so I'm just kind of rolling through. We're trying to see what might come in if we get a significant percentage of the votes from the suburbs, votes from the cities. See if we're going to get anything that will be interesting. Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis bouncing back and forth between a few hundred votes. Not very. Doesn't matter. If Ron DeSantis gets second place tonight, that wouldn't be necessarily surprising. That wouldn't be too surprising because we talked about the amount of votes that these areas carry here in the north, here in the south. That would be interesting because it might mean that Ron DeSantis is officially splitting votes with Donald Trump. But if you're splitting votes with Donald Trump at 22% versus 50%, what are you doing? What are you trying to spoil Donald Trump? Are you trying to impact him in any significant way? It probably wouldn't. It probably wouldn't impact Donald Trump in the long run, but it would be something that would absolutely would be interesting going forward as Donald Trump is trying to get the official 50% number and Ron DeSantis continues his campaign with a ton of debt and ends up spoiling the winner take all 50% proportional margin. Oh, we could do that. Let's do that. Let's look at the proportional map. Which states are winner take all? Which states are winner take all? And which states are a version of proportional representation, which is always a big asterisk because not all of them are, even though they say they are. Okay. Ooh. Oh, okay, good. Makes me a little nervous when it just jumps over that screen like that, but okay. I want to show my files. Here we go. All right. Yeah, I will keep my email out of this. There we go. All right. Republican state delegate allocation rules by state. The Republican Party used to have more just winner take all. You win it, you get it. Only a few proportional representations. Winner take all are in states that aren't super impactful. The only one it might be super impactful is one, Ohio. That could be a big deal if we get to Ohio. And Florida, if we get to Florida. These are all end of March. Not a lot of our Super Tuesday is that list. States like Michigan coming up. Michigan is going to appropriate, I don't even know if they finalized their system. I have to look it up. The state party is going to allocate delegates themselves, probably to Trump, like a quarter of them. And then the people get to vote on the next 75%, which is ridiculous. This is not even like super delegates. This is just them giving the delegates to somebody. It's very silly. They're not the only state that's going to do this. Texas, I think, does it to a small extent. These hybrids, yeah, Texas does to some extent. We're going to see this in a lot of states. Like California has a proportional winner-take-all trigger. A lot of these states you're going to see are important that do that. New York, Virginia. What are our Super Tuesday lists? Let's look at Super Tuesday because I think that's going to actually collect a bunch of them. Where's our schedule? Alabama has a winner take all clause. Alaska's proportional. Alaska might be Nikki Haley state. That would be interesting. Arkansas, winner take all clause. California, winner take all clause. Colorado, winner take all clause. Maine, winner take all clause. Massachusetts, winner take all clause. Minnesota, winner take all clause. North Carolina, proportional. Okay. Oklahoma, winner take all clause. Tennessee, winner take all clause. Texas, sort of winner take all clause. Technically a hybrid, but as we discussed earlier, it's like a 2/3 cut, so it's not really that. Utah, winner take all clause. Vermont, winner take all clause. Virginia, winner take all clause. So does DeSantis split the vote and then Donald Trump can't get his winner take all clause and it ends up with like 47% in all those states? He still wins. Yeah, he still walks into the convention the winner. But it's going to annoy him. That's going to be very frustrating for him to have to campaign and not officially be done when everyone should be done. But if he's got 50%, it really doesn't matter. I mean, I know in the end, technically there could still be the primary could still go on, but if he's got 50% of the vote, even it's 51% because of the way the Republican Party allocates the votes, it's over. It's done. It's done by the first week of March 5th. Not even the first. Don't even get the first Tuesday of March. It's done. The whole election gets set, Everything gets absolutely sold off. Yeah, there's nothing left to go for it. And we'll go through the list. Here's the proportion. I mean, I meant to talk about this earlier, but honestly, we're already pretty certain about what this looks like. Texas at 100. There's about 2,000. I'm looking for the exact number. Look at the exact number. 2,000. So there's 2,400 delegates to win. Sorry, 2,400 delegates total. 1,200 to win. Texas and California together make up 15% basically of the entire lot. Alabama is a lot, so you put in Alabama, put Tennessee. Now we're up another. We're up to 22%, something like that. Add in Colorado, and then yeah. So basically, we're done. We're done by the time we get to Super Tuesday. It's over basically. If somebody's walking away at 50% with 45% of all the delegates, we don't need to stick around and pretend to be interested anymore. So that begs the question of how important are the polls? We don't want to give them too much credit. We don't want to sit here relying on them. But if we can go through this and find out that these polls are accurate, and you'll notice, as I said earlier, these news companies will use, I'm just shuffling pages around, we use different reporting agencies. So when somebody's reporting the results, they don't give it to literally every news network. They're not calling all 45 news networks. They're calling certain agencies that will report them, and then the news companies will then collect that information. Yeah, here at CNN. CNN's usually a little ahead of New York Times, and they are running many more votes, and we're still getting Ron DeSantis ahead, but we're also getting, as we look here, not as many votes where Nikki Haley could pull. We're getting, like, honestly, more votes are coming in out here. Ron DeSantis 22. So that's what's interesting. You get these little onesies, twosies that are pulling his numbers that aren't going to be really super impactful in, like, the long run. But catching blocks of them, like, here you go. You can see where there's, I don't know, some group of friends out here who are fully willing to, like, split. For some reason, there's like a portion of the community just does not want to vote for Donald Trump in these sections, and that's a little interesting. Especially when you see how they brand themselves. It makes you wonder, what are we looking for? What's our differences? And here, I don't think we don't have that kind of information on all these little counties yet. Yeah, we're still waiting. We're not getting a lot. Yeah. Well, let's see. Can we make it a 10? I think we can make it another 30 minutes tonight. And we're just going to sit here. Let's see here. Yep. Okay. Hold on. I'm talking straight for an hour. You have to bear with me while I'll mute this for about 2 seconds while I gobble some water down. I don't want to. I don't need this. Even if nobody's listening, I don't need the the mental stress of just sucking down water. So hold on here for a second. It's a good test. All right. Here we go. Pulling up information. I've got a couple things I'm trying to bulldoze through right now. CNN putting out. I'm not gonna pull the audio up, but where's our Fox? We haven't checked Fox for a minute. Because Fox is probably pulling the AP, and I don't think the AP. I've never really used AP graphics, so I'm looking to see if we have graphics from them. I don't think they really do. Excuse me. I don't think they really pull graphics. Let's see here. I'm going through their information. Well, we'll pull this. I'll let you see. Let me see. Doesn't matter. But race for the race for second. Well, we already talked about the AP. Not trying to have too much dead space. I'm just trying to like see if we have their graphics department from Fox, because I believe Fox pulls from the same information of the AP. That'll give us the third.
Joining me now is Mike Huckabee, former Arkansas governor.
I don't want your audio. I do not want audio, and anybody who has autoplay on their news site should be absolutely banned. Do not want that. I do not want it. I do not want it. Okay. Autoplay should be absolutely thrown into the trash fire. Here we go. Oh, they don't have a cool map. They do not have a cool map. Iowa. 2024. Where are we? Iowa. Here we go. There's this a little less. So I'm giving a big pause right now because Iowa is the way Fox does it is a little bit different. Democrats have banished Iowa into nothing. Told them, we don't like you anymore. You guys handled that way too bad. I don't blame them. That was pretty rough. Last election cycle. 2016 was a mess. Reporting 4%. So this Fox and the AP are further behind anybody else right now at 4% reporting, but we're still not seeing anything particularly interesting. DeSantis and Haley sitting at 20% each is slightly above the polling average. We talked about the polling, like Haley polling at 20 in the NBC poll and in other places. So that's not like too impactful, but that's a little above board. I don't know. I'm not trying not to overrate DeSantis' percentage right now, because DeSantis has a lot of representation that's coming in from the rural counties first. So I expect if he is at 22% right now, I actually expect that number to fall down. I do not think that is representative of our results. So when they talk about the battle for second place, I think a lot of news companies want to talk about Nikki Haley. I think they want to push her, or at least talk about her. I think, in my opinion, in watching some of these news agencies, they're not as interested in DeSantis anymore. He's literally getting questions of, if you get third place, will you drop out? I think we've talked about DeSantis a bit. I've talked about him quite a bit, about how I don't think his results are very good, or I don't see where he gets water from this stone by squeezing it forever. If he gets second place, I'm sure he'll do a cartwheel, but I don't think, I expect this number to go down, to be honest, as we continue going forward. But yeah, otherwise nothing is particularly coming in yet. So we're going to just try to look around for more things. Let's see entrance polls. Let's see our entrance poll very specifically. Let's go over the primary news. Yeah, this is old stuff. He is honored. 40 minutes ago, we talked about Trump saying he's honored and invigorated. We specifically mentioned that. Iowa temperatures plunged to 26 below. Let's see where that is. Let's just for fun. Let's look at the weather. Let's get some weather in here. I'm gonna set it up here on my first temperature. Radar and satellite. Let's see the weather radar. No, please don't look at my location. Okay, so there's no... Oops, sorry. Nothing here. Yeah, well, I said let's not put my location, but I guess I said I'm in Baltimore, so work that out. Oh, okay. Neat. All right, so we'll have to talk about that. Oh, no, never mind. Okay. Never mind. I wanted to verify something. I apologize. I wanted to make sure that that latitude was not what I thought it was. Okay, that's fine then. We're fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about that. Don't Okay, 26 below. I guess they're talking about wind chill. I guess that's what that discussion is. Yeah, I have to excuse me, go back and forth between screens. I apologize. We're going to keep this simple. I'm going to assume what they are talking about is the wind chill. And you will see here it is a significant. Can we change our reading wind gusts is at knots? I don't want knots. It's meters per second, miles per hour. Yeah, we're using freedom units here. All right, here we go. All right, I finally have this converted to freedom. So 19 mile per hour, yeah, 20 mile per hour winds. Yeah, man. Good luck in Iowa, man. I don't know what you're going home to. No, nothing on the radar, but yeah, have fun with that. This is, I don't know if I could say I would be out in this weather. I mean, I guess I would if it's important and I felt impactful. I live in Maryland, so the vote result is usually pretty set and isn't watched by the national coverage, maybe ever. But it is certainly something to deal with over there. And there's still people in these rooms. There's still people there. Probably in some of these bigger districts, they're sitting there for a long time. I mean, obviously they're not sitting outside in the cold, but it is something that I guess if it really is lowering turnout that much, but it doesn't seem to be lowering it in any particular candidate's favor at this point. NPR. Can we get Iowa NPR? Oh, look at that. Yeah, we got NPR. Who are they using? Who are their results? Oh, they're showing a lot more. Whoa, 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 whoa. They're showing a lot more votes in. A lot more. Oh, let's do that. Let's get this in. Yes, here we go. Not only, and let me double check some other things that we're not just getting numbers. Yes, we are getting numbers. Yeah, here we go. 9:45. Here we go. Numbers are flooding in. So NPR uses the exact same reporting agency as the New York Times. Fantastic. So then that's what we're going to use. We're going to use, that's good to know. Fantastic. Numbers flying in. Numbers flying in. Here we go. All right, let's take a look at this. And let's also get CNN, because CNN uses theirs, and CNN can tell me how theirs compares. Let's delete that. I'm gonna leave that up for you, for me, or whomever. Well, now you can't see it, because as I fly through my tabs. Yeah, let's just pull this up so you can continue to look at that while I get my thing up. Okay. How's CNN's number? CNN is reporting slightly more. No, New York Times report says they have a better reporting. Ooh, Nikki Haley underreported some so far, but let's see where we're at. Okay. All right, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay. All right, so as we go through this, what has come in? What are we being barraged with? We are being barraged with rural numbers right now. As much as this isn't coming out, this is not what's important. Like, this is a couple hundreds. We're talking about onesies, twosies at this point, and now we're looking at hundreds of numbers coming in. And if they're predicting 130 to, I'll say 160 votes, this means we are about a third of the way through. 50, 44, 8, 12, 16. Yeah. So they're also saying about 140,000 votes. Maybe that's what happens. Seems it's very low, but we'll see what happens. I mean, that's considerably lower. And to, okay. Yeah, we are looking at these numbers here, and this is not. If you are Nikki Haley, well, you don't have a lot coming in. Johnson County. Ooh, wow. So most of them are in. I'm trying to ignore the numbers that say they can still come in, but Des Moines, Story County. So we're missing a lot. Okay, most of our dense areas are here, 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 and here, and not a lot from here. Oh wow, that's already, yeah. Even though you see I have a named city, you don't get a lot there. From the suburbs, you do. So this is what we're looking at. This is our main point, that we might be looking for Nikki Haley votes. This would be a very representative of what you get. Even though these are big counties, you're going to see a lot of probably the rural areas reporting first. Yeah, Nikki Haley's main base has not come in, is not coming in. I'm going to pull CNN up too, just so you can see. They're reporting very much the same. A lot of missing votes, a lot of missing votes, a lot of missing votes. Things that are not in for Nikki Haley. So I don't want to like start saying that even though we have a third of the votes in, say that, wow, Ron DeSantis is absolutely crushing her. You know, Ron DeSantis was 5 points back behind the polls. Whoa, neck and neck. And the main part of Haley's not in. That's important. That's pretty important. But yeah, Donald Trump at above 50%. That I will be curious to see how Nikki Haley competes in some of these areas. Even if she's ahead, honestly, you're not going to see Donald Trump just sit there with nothing. He's gonna report a lot. There's gonna be a lot that's gonna come in, and he's still gonna get hundreds that are going to start undermining the 3,000 loss that he may have in some of these counties, or he might not lose them at all. So that would be very interesting as we go forward. I am very surprised so far. I guess I'm not too surprised. I'm just, I guess I'm, no, you know, as I kind of sit on this, I guess I'm not too surprised. Our representation for Trump in these bottom 3 counties is very high. A lot of these votes have come in big numbers. Yeah, 95. So I guess I'm not too surprised. We've got a lot of these rural areas. This is where all our votes are in. Boom, boom, boom. 85, 60, 60. Ooh, Sioux City. Not a lot come from that, right? Yeah, that's not Plymouth County. Yeah, this isn't. You gotta be careful. Sometimes you put a map on it, and I don't just because it's got a name on it doesn't mean it's gonna get a big number. Where's Ramaswamy? 7%. He's there. He's getting votes. Chris Christie not picking up junk, even though he just sat out. He's not getting junk, which means the message is getting out that he dropped out. I mean, obviously everybody knows he's dropped out, but at least he's not getting spoiler votes or people trying to dump their votes out of anger. Some people had mentioned that maybe Chris Christie, people send protest votes to Chris Christie. You know, you got even bigger outsiders getting more votes than that. So, yeah, he's definitely not going to get spoiler votes because I don't believe Chris Christie specifically endorsed anybody. Even though we know the polling for Chris Christie votes go towards Nikki Haley, he never specifically endorsed her. Block. Yep. Another rural districts. You just saw that. Nikki Haley losing 0.5 percentage point. Yeah, we know that a lot of those votes were not going towards, or excuse me, a lot of the Chris Christie votes were not necessarily going towards anybody else, even though he didn't specifically endorse anyone. The main thing, though, is that's going to be big in New Hampshire. I don't think that Chris Christie was going to have any sort of showing in Iowa that mattered. And as we go forward, even though he qualified for the debates, it wasn't going to be anything that we were going to be impressed by. And so as we go to New Hampshire, a lot of those really could flood over. Yeah, we're going to see. This is good. This is good information. Yes. And so I'm going to draw down NPR. I'm going to organize some of my tabs here. So here we go. So that you do not need, or you or me, because even though even though I have all my information here, and even though nobody's seeing this, it very much bothers me to just see my second monitor flash on and off as I navigate through these charts. That'll be just something I can figure out how to manage. Is this CNN? We can drop that page. And here's 538. There's not much to talk about 538 right now. 538 being the poll aggregator site. Try to see if they have anything interesting, but there's really not much to consider because they're going to talk a big picture. They're not really big on live updates. They used to be, but they are now completely under ABC News. It's completely absorbed.
It really is astonishing.
Sections. I don't want to talk. Nope, no autoplay. Who's completely absorbed them. So, answer: Haley could have momentum, but come in second, and then does well in New Hampshire. Yeah, great. Well, hire me. I figured that out. Could the coalesce around Trump? Whatever. All right, cool. Thanks for being here. All right. Let's see. We had the New York Times. We went through CNN, and now we better go to Fox. Battling for second, as we talked about. Battling for second. Election hub. Also reporting 39% of votes in. This is the hundredths of a percent. Or if that matters, you want to be really specific. I guess you're really expecting a close result at 19.99%. You know what? I think we can roll. Sometimes, I worry about gamifying the election. I do think it's interesting, but when we gamify the election and we just kind of like try to get the exact numbers, like who cares about second? It's not about getting second place. It's like, what does second place mean? And I think talk about momentum, not having momentum. Can we trust our information that we're getting to us? And just saying, this is not super helpful, to be honest. Let's see our state results. Let's yeah, they're not giving me a map, which is fine. We're just kind of looking at this right now. You're noticing he's already getting delegates delegated to him based off his results, which is okay. Let's do that. You see the delegate breakdown. Was there 40 delegates to be bound? Based off these percentages, I don't know if Iowa has other delegates that can be bound through another way. It seems that we're only getting, we're only told about a certain amount of them. I don't know if it's be proportional, if that number will go up as we go through. I don't know about if Iowa will be splitting the votes based off delegates assigned by the Iowa GOP, but I don't believe they do that. I don't recall them doing that. Looking at New York Times, is also not moved. New York Times is not budged. Everybody's not budged. I'm waiting for the 10 o'clock. We had that big 9:45 update. I'm waiting for the 10 o'clock. Because at this point, we talk about caucuses and big lines. Caucuses taking a long time to organize themselves. I would hope that they figured it out at this point and they've actually managed to not make it a giant cluster. But, I was kind of hoping we would get a little bit more at this point. I think this is a little bit slower than I would have liked. Maybe hope for about 50-55% at that point. I'm not going to stay here all night and try to figure out everything, but I do want to see, while I am interested in second place, I'm trying to see if that starts to manifest itself in certain areas. Yeah, let's see if there's any comments from the from any other candidates here. Woo! Here's one. Oh, hold on. We're gonna do this. We're gonna keep everything organized, so not everything is flashy flashy every single time I want to change the page. Okay. Trump edges out Haley amongst independents, narrowly beating her in independents. That's a little more than narrowly in the entrance polls. That's a little more than Haley. So when we talk about independents showing up and being able to pick whomever, like independents can show up to the Iowa caucus and say they want to caucus for the Republicans. This is a big deal because a lot of people, we knew Haley was winning with independents nationally. Donald Trump is getting them here today in Iowa, or at least the ones that are responding to the entrance polls. Those independents are not, in practice, these people do not move the poll, do not move the numbers. It is not the people who can show up and vote in whatever primary they want do not significantly change the numbers. And as we're seeing from here, people who claim to be independent, whether they are or not, because we all know there are people who are independent and will vote in partisan ways, are not moving the needle in any way. It seems like just based by this entrance poll, and I'm not surprised by this. I feel like this is, the partisans are the ones that show up, and the partisans are the one, the liberals vote for the Democrats, and the conservatives vote for the Republicans, and unless you live in a swing state like potentially North Carolina, but Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, Arizona, unless you have these suburban centrists, the ones who actually swing back and forth with their votes, it's the partisans that choose the state by far and away. And I think this is a good chart. This is actually really good. It shows us the same thing that I mentioned about an hour and a half ago, saying like, oh, Nikki Haley wins with independents. Yeah, neat. So what? This is a primary. It's not that interesting. It's not that good of a, if you want to win a primary, you don't appeal to independents. And I'm still really skeptical that we're going to see any sort of result. As caucus goers who identified as Republicans, 52% voted for Trump compared to 25% for DeSantis and 16%. So yeah, there you go. And the Republicans vote for the Republican. So this is important to see. This is what I got to remember you can't see my cruiser, so I have to highlight me, but I can't. It's showing up right now. All right. Biden campaign fundraisers off of, yeah. I think I want to do this again next week for New Hampshire, and then I will really promote me doing this because I am learning a lot about OBS, and I'm enjoying this. I think this is fun. But I think what we're going to be doing is talking more about the fundraising. I hope we have more fundraising information. Right now we have the Democrats self-reporting their absolutely massive numbers. I'm not surprised the Republicans, at least I haven't seen, self-report their numbers. I don't think it's because they're doing poorly. I think it's because they're busy and they don't want any particular number to be affecting anything. And I don't think bragging about how much money you make is really going to work in Iowa right now. I think they want to get past that. Trump running 30 plus points ahead of 2016 showing. Yeah. So, this is a good ticker. In 2016, Donald Trump won the election basically with 32. I mean, these are talking about the red counties, right? He won the national election before everybody started dropping out with only about 30 to 40% of the national vote. He was just winning over and over again with a much more split vote. The difference here is even more massive. Now, the advantage is there isn't 5 other candidates punching themselves for second place. There's just 2. But this is fairly significant. I don't know how anybody overcomes this. Donald Trump went at sub 40% in 2016, and now we're expecting for somebody to come behind and beat him at a 30% difference. I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical that can happen. Let's get the New York Times number out here again. Trying to kill time to a little past 10 o'clock. See if we get a 10 o'clock boon of information. It's a little 10:01 right now. 10:01 on the East Coast, 9 o'clock there. They have been voting and chatting it up now for 2 hours. 2 hours. So anybody who's not reported at this point is behind, which is possible. It's possible that somebody's sitting around for a while. I'm looking to see if there's anybody who is literally just has a view of, or has pictures of being at the Iowa Caucus right now, seeing if anybody was there. Caucus. We're going to look this up. We're going to see if there's any information about if these large districts have actually wrapped up at the moment. What the? Yeah, we're going to look to see if there's anybody, if they've actually wrapped up. So let's see here. Because sometimes you hear stories about these guys sitting out in long lines and having to take forever. Let's see, I'm looking through the media. I don't we don't need to search through too. Oh, yeah, here we go. This is from 30 minutes ago.
Well, this is all you guys left. This is all we're part.
Clive, Iowa. Sorry, we got dead space here, but we're looking at I'm trying not to like spill everything out here on the page. Clive, Iowa, that's by Des Moines. Yes, it is. There we go. Okay, so here's Dana Bash. Here we go. And just to explain to you, like, to show like how long this takes and what it looks like when you have one that's actually of a size. Check this out. Wham. Still doing speeches as of an hour ago. They clearly have somebody on the ground. I mean, obviously, I'm not trying to like be a little. I'm not trying to be too obvious, but here you go. And then they are still counting as of 20 minutes ago. And here they're using actual ballots, which a lot of places don't always use ballots. They sit around and they try to talk about. Yeah, they actually have they'll literally tell you to stand in a certain side of the room. And they'll literally be like, okay, Trump vote, go to that side. Nikki Haley, you guys stand over there. And it's very primitive. And when you're literally just coming up with a basket and they're just counting, and your vote collectors have clear campaign memorabilia right on there. Very interesting. Very interesting. Trying to see if we have any more media that we can talk about, that we can show. Let's see. Because, you know, we get a lot of... Oh my goodness. Well, there you go. That's what a famous... I don't know why that cracks me up. I don't know why. I can't give you a good reason why that picture cracks me up. It looks great. We have a lot of people who are posting logos. Iowa vote count. Let's try to get more specific. Here's a speech. There's people talking about stuff. Yeah, here we go. Fantastic. This is fantastic. Look, this is the vote counting process in Iowa. This is how your elections look. You want to talk about how the elections can be like rigged or messed with in every other systems in the United States, like these secure ballot boxes that have like people watching of all different types. You know, there's there's watchers, and then there's watchers for the watchers, and then there's elected professionals who look over it. And then meanwhile, here in Iowa, they got a grocery bag. They're just throwing it over in gymnasium. You know what? I don't like the I don't mind. I like the caucus, but why does this have to be the caucus? What is this? This is like how you vote for class president, or like where the group should go out to eat. What is this? This is like let's get a real system. Come on. Oh, here you go. What this is what is this, man? Romney? Is this old? A history. Oh yeah, this is old. This is old. Romney. I'm glad I looked at this. I looked at the picture. I thought they were like saying Ramaswamy. I was like, that's not. He's not getting all those votes. I see Mitt Romney on there. So this is the New York Times putting out an historical piece. Okay. People say, I love paper ballots. People are saying this is fantastic. The paper ballots are fantastic. This is the problem with paper ballots. It's a guy in a room just counting it up. Like we don't have to do it this way. We don't have to. We don't have to do it that way. Whatever. Okay. All right. I am killing time a bit. Oops, sorry, the microphone. Let's make sure it's still going. Yeah, we still got sound. Okay, so I mean, what is there to be had? What is there to be had? As we, I'm not ready to close this out yet, but we're stagnating a little bit on information. So as we're stagnating, I don't want to just sit here with dead air and just kind of be waiting left and right for information. I am kind of hoping to get one. I'm going to go till when we start, 8:30, 20 minutes. That'll be good. 2 hours. 2 hours talking. I think that's fine. I think I've filled enough air at the moment. We'll see if we get a blast at 10:30. We see clearly that these people are wrapping up. These people are starting to count votes. That vote counting process can take a while. I'm not going to sit here while every vote in Des Moines gets counted, but while somebody goes through the plastic box and miscounts all their numbers. But I will see if something comes out by 10:30. We did have that big gasp at 9:45. And to see if we have any significant change in the numbers, because if we do, I'm going to assume that this information, because it's stayed still for so long, is waiting to come out in a big batch. I'm going to assume that these numbers are being basically sat on, and then they're going to be reported in a bulk batch like they just were previously. Yeah, let's see here. Let's see, anything changed on the weather? Weather's still cold. Nothing's changing here. All right, let's look for let's go through some of the feeds for right now. I'm gonna do NBC feed, which I really did like that one. Nope, they didn't update anything for the next 15 minutes, so they're taking a nap. All right, let's check the CNN feed, and then we'll go to the live updates. Last key rate alert was at 11 minutes ago, so it seems like I'm not the only one waiting. It seems like they're all kind of just sitting on their hands. A bigger while my head was turned to the left, it looks like we just had a vote jump for Donald Trump. Nothing crazy, nothing major. We're still at generally the same amount. Probably the rural district came in. Seemed like there. So everybody is just waiting. Waiting. Yes, the desk projects live results of the election. Looking for any more live updates. Okay. All right. Jesus. Twitter's an absolute. Okay, so I'm trying to like not wait any longer, or like try not to get stuff, but the search results. This is why I don't. The search results on Twitter are just awful. I'm trying to find trending, but I'm not getting anything here. So try to go through other people's hot takes and instead try to get information out. Yeah, everybody's posting hot takes. This is my issue right now. When I started looking online, now that every schmuck has a social media, even as I do streaming, so now everybody's posting their brags, and it's just I don't want that. I don't want brags. I want, and if you hit latest information, you get even more bigger junk. What's our media? Let's see, what do we get? Go. People, this will be my one hot take. I will give you a hot take. DeSantis. This is people bragging. Trump. Yay! Do you trust this over electronic machines? Trump. No, I don't. I don't. Embrace technology. DeSantis. Embrace it. What is this? This is popcorn buckets. Trump. What is this? This is some guy reading. This is not how. DeSantis. People will do this, and then they'll be like, "Yeah, we got to trust hand counts," and then they'll do math on a calculator, and then they'll Google math equations. Like you want to trust hand counts, but then you'll like trust everything else you'll do to electronics. This is ridiculous. It's insane. Yeah, there's not much. God, I wish there was. No, that's other stuff. Okay, yeah, people bragging, a lot of bragging right now while we just sit and wait for any sort of thing. They're trying to pitch us the who's going to win second place. Ooh, did some come in? Yeah, nothing came in. A little bit came in, but nothing. Alrighty. I know this is the grind. This is the grind, right? Where I am looking for anything. Even the news agencies have slowed down what information they're giving right now. I would love to report more, but I am just absolutely sliding, waiting till 10:30, 9:15. 9:15 is a great checkpoint. Nothing's blown in yet. CNN still with basically CNN reporting more than New York Times. Interestingly, CNN with 38% reporting in is projecting a larger amount of people to come in. So that's probably more towards like the 150, 160,000 vote totals. Yeah, I'm looking around. I'm not seeing much to be interested in yet. I'm still waiting. We're at about 30 minutes since the last big update, and that's pretty much how it's probably gonna stall out on. Before I duck out, which is gonna be till 10:30. I'm not gonna sit on here forever. But I am just like on a constant refresher here. I was really hoping. I was kind of privately. I was like, no, man, it's got to be till 9:15. Like at 9:15, that's what's going to come in. It'll give me something to close out on. But if I don't get something, I mean, if by 10:30 comes around, 14 minutes, and there isn't just like a big and something to talk about, I'm just going to close it out. Close out this video with a little discussion of what we could talk about, like what might be interesting. Going forward. Try to browse certain things. Twitter is not giving me much. I'm just gonna we're just mix up our screens just so we don't have to keep looking at the same screens here. So I just don't have one screen sitting on it constantly. What are our 3 delegations? We have New York Times, New York Times and NPR, CNN, NBC, CNN, MSNBC, and probably ABC. I don't go to their news as much. I guess that's 538. So, and then we have Fox News, who may have an Iowa map, but I do not have a map. I do not see one. Basically, right? Different numbers. 52285, 522. Oh, Fox News using New York Times. Interesting. Interesting. So let's pull up the AP. I would like to know this for the future to make sure I don't do make sure I have like everybody's information on at the same time. This way I can pull this up in the future. So let's do this. Election live updates of the AP. Vying for second place. Party switcher for Haley. So reading from the AP. Carol Hendrick is a lifelong Iowa Democrat, but she registered as a Republican on Monday night so she could caucus for Haley. Anything I could do to keep Trump from becoming president. Thanks, Carol. But you probably didn't move the needle. You probably didn't do much. She said she would back Joe Biden in the general election. So, like, this is, you know, Carol's doing her best to sabotage the Republican Party. Probably not going to work, Carol. I mean, you know, good for you, though. Good for you for voting. I don't want to, like crap on that. But, you know, it is what it is. There's not enough Carols. Vulnerabilities, the suburbs are relatively, but we don't know the suburbs. So, okay. So this is, they're trying to, like, AP's trying to push the issue in the suburbs, but we don't have the results yet from the suburbs. So that's like a... The result was so early. Okay. Yeah, so this is cool. All right, so let's go to their page. Let's see if they have a map. Does the AP have a map? Yes, they do. They do have a map. Full results from the AP. And so is the AP. Yes, they are. So the AP is using the same as Fox and New York Times. Cool. Good to know. Good to know. Didn't realize Fox and the New York Times shared the same. Right? 8601. I'm flipping back and forth. So they're full on exact. CNN not giving me anything extra. Their numbers are different, but they're not giving me anything that is good. Well, we have 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes. Oh, here we go. Some movement. Nothing moved. Got excited for nothing. Got excited for literally nothing. Literally no reason. Ramaswamy, 0.1%. Good for him. It's not just for nobody. Yeah, we're gonna go a little bit longer. We got about 9 minutes. About 9 minutes left. And then we're just gonna do probably closing statements unless we see. Ooh, numbers ticking around. Okay. I'm getting a little excited. I had about a whole 10 minutes of no updates, and I was even able to match everybody's numbers as they were coming in. Now, big blasts of numbers going through. We're gonna see if CNN got ahead of them. Yes, CNN is getting ahead of them. Here we go. CNN's throwing their stuff up. We are getting. I might stay a little longer. I might talk to me a little bit longer. So we're going to see here. What happened? DeSantis still has his family in Northwest Iowa somehow. Nothing big has come in. No zone, it looks like. Polk, we're looking at Polk County. We're looking at Story County. Story County still with no votes in, basically. Ooh, another block. What happened? What had happened, New York Times? What is that? What did you do, New York Times? Did you guys see that? Did you see that? Did you see this? New York Times is stealthily adjusting the amount of votes in. We might see if that fluctuates back and forth. It might just be like a quirk. But your estimated votes remaining don't seem to be very good. If you're telling me estimated votes remaining are 40%, and now it's 20%, it seems like you don't know. It seems like you're expecting not 130,000 now, but you're expecting 35, 45, so 45, closer to 180,000. And it kind of seems like I'm not wrong going into this. Kind of seems like that. Kind of seems like that 130,000 number was a little low, huh? That's gonna be okay. So I'm gonna make my notes here. My notes here are gonna say three things. Yeah. My notes are gonna say three things. Because I am gonna start making closing arguments, and if we start getting a significant result, like if we get like a really big change, woo! There we go. Trump down 3%. Everybody up. Everybody else up. What came in? Polk County reporting. Story County still not reporting. Johnson County reporting. This is it. This is our numbers. This is what we wanted to see. Nikki Haley coming in. Back from Polk County. So this is what we wanted to see. So we wanted to see a few things. One, our total number for turnout. My prediction was what? Almost 200K? I think reasonably 180, 190K. I think I was a little rounding up. But we'll see if I was right versus what NBC said was 130,000. A little bit of Trump numbers. Looks like that came in from Southern Iowa. We're going to see a 50% or not total for Trump. I'm making these notes. I'm literally physically writing these notes as I'm just waiting for these numbers to fly in and report. And that will drive media narrative, although I will tell you I think is a little superficial. No change. Is a little superficial. I think it will matter for proportional representation for winner take all clauses. And lastly, we have to admit the Haley versus DeSantis result. So we're going to see if this drives the media narratives of these pages. But the results, we're looking at another big shot. As far as Haley to like really make an argument must be second place. That's my argument. And DeSantis needs 20% to show up. I mean, 20% is better for Ron DeSantis. In the current average polling was about 14 to 16%. If he's polling at 20%, that's pretty good for him, and he's showing that he's a vote splitter if he's doing that. And Ramaswamy, good for him. 7%. He's showing up. He's so far. Ooh, okay. So we talked about the turnout, right? Wham. That adjusted back up. That went back up. So I was bragging about them going low, and they've adjusted back up. So that's their numbers, their dials flying all over the place. I remember I said about these dials, quite likely DeSantis, probably not Haley. Like these dials are just, they don't mean anything. As you get towards the end, these dials don't mean anything. Haley's only like estimated votes remaining down here. Cedar Rapids, Des Moines, like, did that really all come in? Oh wow, that really did all come in. Wow, Nikki Haley. Wow. So at 75% of the votes in, this really is a garbage turnout. I was bragging about that going down. But if this is a true number, 75% of the votes in, this is a garbage turnout. 43%, we're looking at 45 plus another 30, that's 70%. This would be like so New York Times projecting like 100,000 turnout, which is garbage. If that's true. CNN behind in their numbers, drastically behind in their numbers. Let's see what Fox is putting out. Fox is saying 71% is in. They could just be behind in reporting and posting the numbers at this point. Like the way these are flying in, it's just whoever's posting them. 43272. 43272. We're just seeing if anybody's significantly ahead in reporting it. Then if that's it, Haley has underperformed tonight, and okay. So I have to take this with a grain of salt right now. I am curious to see what CNN throws out when they finally open up their numbers. Let's get NBC's results here, because I believe NBC uses similar to. So we're gonna put these ones together, and we're gonna go to NBC. NBC using the same chart or the same reporting method as. Man, this looks like. This is some 2008 level graphics department, man. This is, I mean, it looks smooth, but it also, I mean, it is smooth, but it looks bad. I mean, whoever cares about that. Gross. All right. So, these guys estimate remaining 78,000 votes. That is just a sad turnout, Iowa. Man, it really was. I made remarks about they know how to wear a coat, as this is telling us they don't know how to put on a coat. This suggests they do not know how to put on a coat. 50% of the vote in here. Now CNN is finally throwing numbers up. Still is Nikki Haley behind, but has Trump sub 50%. Interesting. Did CNN really report? So these ones are coming in, but Story County is still missing. Okay. Story County is still missing. We'll see Story County and see if that shifts any numbers. Yeah, now I'm interested. Yeah, now I'm staying for a little bit. We now have something to talk about. Nikki Haley, if this continues, we're gonna ask if this continues. And, you know, they don't even put DeSantis on this part here. He's not winning anything. He's just vote splitting. Let's check out the rural counties. These bottom 3 rows. DeSantis pulling in half. Nikki Haley doing not bad out here. Look, splitting votes here. Trump running away with it, and Nikki Haley splitting votes with DeSantis in the rural counties. Surprisingly, it's not all just DeSantis. And then you go further north. Yeah, Nikki Haley's a solid 3rd place, but she's splitting votes with DeSantis. She really is splitting votes with DeSantis. Interesting. So it may suggest that Nikki Haley is splitting more votes with Ron DeSantis than Ron DeSantis is splitting votes with Donald Trump at this point. That is an interesting result. Oh, what happened here? Oh, Nikki Haley's friends showed up somewhere. Okay. That's probably not going to stay. That's probably not going to stay. So Nikki Haley not dominating like we thought. Not at least like dominating the suburbs. Donald Trump still with an enthusiastic base, and Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis possibly splitting votes more with each other than Ron DeSantis is splitting votes with Trump. Which the problem with Ron DeSantis is, where do you grow? He's still been falling, but where do you grow out of? Like, this is interesting. Like, when I see these areas and I see like Nikki Haley up by 1 vote, like it suggests that Ron DeSantis isn't taking votes away from Donald Trump. It suggests that him and Nikki Haley are just bashing against each other right now and not able to figure out who should be ahead. And of course, Ron being in second place today will encourage him to go on to New Hampshire next week, which could mess with the results. We'll see. I don't think a lot of people take too much stock in Iowa. I think a lot more will go to New Hampshire. We see a lot of candidates get their momentum after that. I think that was the winning place of Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton won it and was able to launch himself from there. Donald Trump was able to win it and launch himself from there. And I think not Obama, but actually it might have been Obama. Who won the 2008 Iowa Caucus? Yes, so okay, he did win that one. Okay. And Mitt. Sorry, and I wanted to say 2012 GOP primary. We'll just see those numbers go up for a second. Caucuses. Okay. Mitt Romney did win Iowa. I don't know why I thought Mitt Romney didn't win Iowa, but he did. He won it by a significant amount. No, dude, he won it by. How did the delegates get allocated? So Ron Paul won it by. Oh, Jesus. This is such a ridiculous. I apologize. The votes are going up, and I'm looking at this like very specific fact. Yeah, he didn't win it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, Rick Santorum won the Iowa primary caucus, and in the end, they voted for Ron Paul in the actual. Oh man. Yeah, so if we look at it, Ted Cruz, there was no other. Ted Cruz won it in 2016. Rick Santorum won it in 2012. In 2008, Mike Huckabee won the Iowa caucus. Jeez. Go all the way to 2000. George Bush did win it, but there was a lot more competition. So Iowa has not been a good indicator of the winner. But, none of these guys, in every single one of these cases, like if you go back to 2000, sure, George Bush won it, but it was only by 10%. Mike Huckabee won it only by 10%. Rick Santorum won it by like 9 votes. And in 2016, it was very similar for Rick Santorum. So it's, we talk about like, what can Iowa do? What can Iowa do? What can it tell us? It might not be much exactly, but as far as Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley, it might be very interesting for them going forward. I do think seeing Nikki Haley flounder in areas we expected her to be strong, like these 2 counties right here, is pretty telling. 84% of the vote in. I think that is going to set our narrative. What do you think? What votes do you think are in? If this is actually accurate, this is nothing. Hundreds of votes. Hundreds of votes. And now it's just flinging back and forth. So, yeah, I think that's it. I think that's our narrative. All right. So, turnout in Iowa. What is our turnout for Iowa? Our turnout is garbage. It might even be less than the 130,000. And all the comments I made saying that Iowans know how to put on a coat might be completely wrong. Sounds like they didn't even want to show up. Will Haley get second place? Probably not. Dials aside, I don't know where those votes are left. She struggled in the suburbs. I think an interesting narrative is that they may have split votes. Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley may have split votes between themselves versus actually Donald Trump. Or Donald Trump supporters showed up in huge droves, and Nikki Haley has very low motivated voters in Iowa, which also might be the case. We talked about her low motivation and supporters. It didn't go after old people. It went after the young and independents who didn't want to show up. And DeSantis plus 20%. What's that going to do to him? Is he going to be encouraged? Will he figure out how to get out of debt? And will Trump cross his 50% total? It's hard to tell. He might literally sit on 50%. Like I do think there's Story County's in basically. I mean, there's a little bit left that he might fall behind, but honestly, I think he's fine. I think it was 51%. So, are the polls correct? Yes-ish. I think the polls are currently given reliable, but there's more to be interpreted when it comes to second place and how we go into New Hampshire. So, disappointing result for Nikki Haley, as expected for Donald Trump, to be honest. And good one for Ron DeSantis. Although between them, this is basically a coin toss. Ramaswamy, yeah, he's there, cool. If he leaves the race, those votes will go for Trump, and he'll just pull ahead by more. I think we need to be ready for, we need to see what happens in New Hampshire, and then South Carolina, and after that, we're probably going to get a good idea for Super Tuesday, unless something amazing happens, unless something big happens, and I don't know what's happening. I don't know what can do that at this point. Yeah, that's it. I'm glad I waited to 10:30. I was about to call it. I'm glad I did it. That's cool. Great. I don't know if no one will get this far, but you know what? I appreciate doing this. This is fun. This is wonderful practice, and learning is important.